You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth. Hey Rebel. So this week we're going to riff on a phrase that came to me this week, and it's this. Your feelings aren't wrong, but that doesn't mean they're right. Now, what could I mean by that? Well, in the first instance, look, we feel how we feel about stuff, right? There's no point arguing with that. So if we're driving along in the car and someone does something and anger appears, then anger's appeared. If we argue with it and try and judge it or tell ourselves we shouldn't be feeling that way or we're not supposed to feel this, we tie ourselves in knots. Now, that's true in other circumstances as well. Perhaps there's a change happening at work or a change happening anywhere in your life. Change is pretty constant. And so, we come up against this, right? And we get a bunch of thoughts and feelings come up. Well, they've arrived. They've appeared. You didn't make them appear. They just came up. And, they were filtered through conditioning and all of that kind of stuff. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything more than that. So when I say they're not wrong, I mean they're not bad. They're just things that appeared. As I say, you didn't make them appear based on life, conditioning, imprinting, samskaras, all that stuff, all that shit I was going to say, all that stuff. They just appear. And so there's no point arguing with them. They're not wrong. And at the same time, they're not right. So what do I mean? Well, how many times in our life have we had something happen that looked like it was going to be freaking terrible, that our conditioning threw up all sorts of thinking about, all sorts of stories about it. It said, oh my God, this will never be the same again. This is definitely a downgrade, whatever it might be. I can't believe that this is happening at work. I can't believe that this is happening to my friendship or whatever it might be. And in hindsight, we can see that it actually turned out to be great. It turned out to be amazing. So we have these thoughts and feelings that appear, but it doesn't mean that they're a true reflection of what's going to happen. In psychology, they talk about effective forecasting, how good we are at being able to predict stuff that's going to happen. And it turns out we're not actually that good. We think we are, but even when we go through and we see the evidence that shows us through these studies and papers that actually we're not that good at it, we still ignore that and think that we're better than we actually are. In fact, it's even more interesting than that. Because effective forecasting isn't about predicting the events that are going to happen necessarily. It's about how we think we're going to feel if those events happen. So we tend to think that we're going to feel way worse than we actually will do, and it's something difficult that happens. And we think that we're going to feel way more high and up in the clouds than we often do when something amazing happens, right? We're not that good at predicting this stuff. We have a natural source of resilience and just deep wisdom inside of us that's always guiding us. And when we're kind of looking out there into, oh my God, what about this, what about that? We focus in and hone in on that one thing. But there's so many amazing things in our lives. If we can look around ourselves, it's not ever that there's only that one thing happening. So all that said, it doesn't mean that our thoughts and feelings are right. So what this opens, as I see it, is this ability to be able to honor things that come up, not make them wrong, allow them to move through, not hold on to them, not argue with them, not cling to them or push them away. And at the same time, just honor the fact that, look at that. Look at my mind doing its thing that it does, worrying, predicting, future stuff, all that shit. Maybe I don't have to listen to it so much. Maybe I don't have to take it so seriously. I'm sure many of you have come across Byron Katie's work. And Byron talks about 4 questions. 1, is it true? 2, can you absolutely know it's true? 3, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And who would you be without the thought? And for me, it's kind of just been condensed down into, do I actually know this is true? Right? And basically all the time, I'm like, no. It's just, my mind is creating something and I can hold it much more loosely. And, you can play around with those 4 questions. When they work, as I see it, it effectively knocks us back into that realization that we're living in a thought-generated reality. It reminds us you don't have to take it so seriously. Is it true? Often we just ask that one question and we realize, no, I can't know that for sure. My mind is doom scrolling through all of the possible options and then throwing things up for me to kind of latch onto, right? And it's all a creation of our mind. And that's good news. Because without that, we wouldn't be having this amazing experience. We wouldn't even know what's happening, right? We've got these wonderful gifts that we've been given, these incredible spiritual gifts that bring our reality to life. Great news. But we don't have to hold it so tightly. We can hold on with a looser grip and life just gets easier. So your feelings aren't wrong, but that doesn't mean they're right. And just sit with that this week and see what comes up for you. And I'd love to hear from you. And as I've been saying, there's some great changes coming to Rebel Spirituality soon. Some really cool shit in the post. And so, be sure to get your name on the waitlist to find out about that stuff. And you'll find that in the show notes. All right, Rebel. I hope you have an awesome day. Huge love. See you soon.